Hey everybody. I wanted to talk about something that is of rising interest out there, and that's the JQ. There's a lot more what people call noticing going on, and I support any noticing. I think noticing is good, and I would just say that when you notice things, try to be precise in what you notice, and be discerning in what you notice, and ask reasonable questions. Don't just get swept up in, don't just get so swept up in the noticing that just become a follower of what, and just start and get credulous and start believing what other people are saying. And there comes a point where you do just kind of get swept up in things, but you've got to try to avoid that. You've got to try to, keep your feet solidly planted in the earth amidst the chaos, amidst all the tsunami of emotion. So, with that in mind, I want to talk about this story. Now, I've talked before about the puzzle of Israel during 2020, 2021, during that era, how Israel was the most locked down of any country that I believe, in the maybe in the world. And not only that, but there was more pressure. It was beyond pressure. It was like they basically they weren't just twisting people's arms, they were breaking people's arms, saying you need to take the shot, what I used to call the Baj. You need to take it, and you need to get boosted. You need to get all the boosters. Unless you get the shot and all the boosters, you cannot go in. You cannot enter a grocery store. You cannot enter a restaurant. You can't participate in the renormalizing of society. This was the trend in a lot of places, but nobody took it as far, as I understand it, as Israel did with their own citizens. All right, I don't think they cared so much about what people were doing in Gaza. I don't think they cared so much about what the Palestinians were doing. But as far as their own people, they were very, the Israeli authorities were zealous as few governments in the world were. I mean, they took it to a total extreme. So I remember asking a few times, people who say that, as far as the JQ goes, that if you're one of the J's, then you probably can't be trusted. You're probably part of the cabal. Well, no, I would say that while the Jays make up a large part of the cabal, and there are things we're not allowed to say, obviously, about them, and that are true. I go along with that to a certain degree, but then I see that they're doing these kinds of things to their own people, and that caught me up short. And I made that point a couple times, and it kind of got dismissed by some. When I made this point, some people out there said, well, they're probably just giving them what's it called, the salt water injection. They're probably injecting them with, I can't think of the damn word right now, but you know what I'm saying. When they want to test the effectiveness of something, they give one person a placebo. Right, that's the word, placebo. I'm old, guys. Okay, I'm old. I'm getting old, so bear with me. It's only going to get worse. But so that's what people were saying when I put this question. Well, they were probably just making them get the placebo, and so they rejected the idea that I was presenting, which is what I was presenting, and what I believe, and what I still believe, is that the authorities, the people in charge, the elites in Israel, are just as contemptuous of the hoi polloi, the normal citizens in Israel, as they as the elites are in all Western countries towards their own native populations. Now, it's a little more complicated in Israel because there is obviously they're engaged in a violent natalism that's being rejected in other countries. That's true. That's for sure true. They wouldn't tolerate mass immigration in Israel the way they do, the way that it's mandated that we tolerate it in most Western countries today. But on the other hand, they didn't spare them this poison shot. They didn't say, okay, let's go easy on on the Jews out there, the Jewish population of Israel. They're our own, so we should take care of them. We shouldn't be giving them this poison. No, they didn't do that. And no, they didn't just give them placebo shots, because what I'm going to read from now, this is from a study. This is from this is covered on Naomi Wolf's podcast, which feel however you want to feel about Naomi. I know she has her naysayers, but what she's covering here is a story out of Israel. Let me just read a little bit that I have here. New evidence is in confirming a story initially broke in 2023, in which Dr. Wolf warned the world, and about which Dr. Wolf warned the world in 2021. The mRNA injections dramatically raise miscarriage rates. And they're talking about in Israel here. Okay, a new study of the Maccabee Health Insurance Group involving 1.4 million women reveals that 3 additional women out of 100 will miscarry in the vaccinated group compared to the unvaccinated group. Catastrophe. So this is going on in Israel. Okay, this is going on amongst the regular population of Israel, and this is evidence that no, they weren't given the placebo. They were given they gave them the juice. They gave them the real thing. They gave them the Fauci elixir, and it's had a catastrophic effect. Where, according to this study, out of if you've got all the mandated shots and booster shots in Israel, which you basically had to do, or else you I don't know. The impression I had was that you basically couldn't leave your house or participate in any activity. They were, again, strong arming this more in Israel than they were anywhere else. It was my impression during that period. And now we see the fallout from that. That among the, I guess that there were still some who didn't get the shots because there's still an unvaccinated group that they can use as a control group. But out of those who got the shot, 3 additional women out of 100 will miscarry in the vaccinated group. So this to me, this just demonstrates the truth of what I was saying before. If you're just some guy trying to get by, if you're in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv or wherever in the nation of Israel, whether you think it's legitimate nation to exist or not, I think there should be some sympathy extended to the people there, not to the government, not to the state, not to anything that the state is doing, and not to any of the violence that they're participating in right now. Don't get me wrong. what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. But as far as if you're just a construction worker, taxi driver, waitress, fry cook, kindergarten teacher, if you're just some schlub struggling to get by, you are to the elites, and you're an Israeli Jew. To the elites, you're still cattle. You're still goyim. It's not so much about us versus the Jays. It's about power. It's about the power elite, which is largely, or disproportionately Jewish, but not all Jewish, and the rest of us, whatever we are, black, white, brown, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, whatever, all of us. Again, this is happening in Israel. Why would Israel want to, if the idea is that they want to poison the rest of the world, and so that the rest of us suffer and eventually die out, but they want to increase their own numbers. Why would they give this shot that why would they force it upon their own people to the extent that now there are that if you got the shot, according to this study, 3 out of 100 pregnant women miscarried. This is advancing the depopulation agenda amongst the general population. Just like everywhere else, I bet you that the government of Israel weren't forced to take the shot. I bet you that this goes this even extends to October 7th, and supposedly Netanyahu is under scrutiny for possibly being complicit, as I understand it, in the suddenly lax defense that they had, which enabled Hamas to come in and kill people and kidnap people. Again, my overall point here is it's about distrusting those in power. But I think we shouldn't make the mistake. Notice the JQ. Notice it, but don't make the mistake of thinking that some normal schlub trying to get by in Israel is any different from you, wherever you may live. That I think would be an error.